Welcome back. I'm your host, Bobby Ann, and today we're joined by our very first co host on the show from Offshore Paddle Company, Jessica and Amanda. Jessica, Amanda, thank you so much for being here to chat with us today.
Thank you for having us. We're
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. We always love bringing in people from the community onto the podcast. So, first things first, what is Offshore Paddle Company?
So, Offshore Paddle Company was founded because we were both so obsessed with paddleboarding, and it started during the winter because we couldn't paddle during one season, and we just needed an outlet to get our obsession out. A lot of it too was that there weren't a lot of at the time cool clothing like t-shirts, backpacks that kind of expressed our obsession with paddleboarding. Everything was a little cheesy. So we were like, let's just make our own then. And
Yeah, and I
and
felt like there was a lot of stuff towards like more kayaking or surf stuff, and we're like, we want something that's more what we're into, and there wasn't a lot of stuff really available. It was all like mostly clip art,
yeah.
It's cheesy, like she said.
Yeah, can definitely relate to that. That's a part of why Girl Paddlers got started as well. Is our founder, she was just like, I don't like anything out there. I'm just gonna make my own stuff.
Yeah, seriously.
So definitely relate to that. You guys have a lot of cute stuff out there. I was checking out the shop before you hopped on today. So you guys are doing a good
Thank
job
you.
with that for sure. And I heard you guys are not only co-founders, but you're best friends. So how did you two meet?
So that's up for debate because she says we met when we were 9. I don't remember how, but I remember being 4 or 5 years old and meeting her on this little stage in the back of our parents' church. And I just said, "Hey, do you want to put on a show with me or something like that?" And she hopped in, and we've been best friends ever since.
For so long. Yeah.
30 something years we've been best friends, and I cannot cannot live without her. She really pushes me to get out of my comfort zone, like a lot, and she does it in a really supportive way. So
Yeah, we're
Those are the
pretty
best kind of friends to
inseparable.
have.
Yeah, we're really lucky. I think it's one of those like just once in a lifetime kind of things. Like we've we bicker very minimal, but when we do, it's like sisters, so it's pretty cool. We're very lucky to have each other.
That's so sweet. Having best friends for that long is incredible. I feel like very few people have such a long friendship like that. So, but I do find that there's always one in a best friend group that's always roping the other one into other stuff. So, whose idea was it to get this started?
Back and forth with that kind of stuff.
we definitely share that rule because there's always one of us that's like, eh, and then the other one's like, let's go, let's do it. And I think we honestly take
I think we
turns.
do take turns because I don't know, I feel like we both get distracted too. So we'll like, one will be like super like in go mode, and then the other one will be like, I'm over this. And then the other one's like pushing to be like, wait, we were doing this. Come on, let's keep going. Like we were having fun doing this. And like, okay.
Yeah.
So I think we kind of, when one loses dopamine, the other one pushes it back.
I've got two very best friends that we've also been friends as long as you guys have. And it just seems like at certain points, you're almost like sharing a brain. You're just like, when one starts like dropping off on this and the other one just jumps in to pick it up. So,
For sure, for sure. I totally vibe with that for sure. She's reminding me of stuff constantly. And I'm like, oh, crud, I forgot I had to do that, or.
And definitely other way around.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, me and my best friend, we always joke about this. We had read an article one time about this like shared memory theory, where it's like once you've had a partner or a close relationship for so long, you like subconsciously start like storing your memories in the other person because they'll remember certain things better than you will.
That's
And
cool.
I was like, yeah, now every time I'm like, hey, remember that thing from like high school? And there was like and I have like no information and she just immediately pulls it up and it's like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
She actually demands that I remind her of stuff. Like, hey, when I get home later today, even though I'm not with you, can you remind me that I have to do this or that? I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty guilty of that, to be honest.
Well,
Because I
I
know
love
that
that.
she will.
Yes. It's like almost better than having a partner because you've known them for so long. You're like, listen, I can't catch you up with all the lore. I just need to rely on my best friend for these certain things.
Hmm.
Exactly.
So was this like a joint effort, joint idea for creating Offshore, or how did this come
Yeah,
about?
pretty much. I think it was joint effort and it was depression over winter. I come up with some of the design. She comes up with the other half of the design. She shares ideas with me. I send her stuff.
She's better on the technical side of things. I'm a little bit more of a snail with that, I would
But
say.
she's better at recognizing if a design is too boring or isn't hitting the mark or the colors aren't right. So I send her everything.
That's the beauty of having a co-founder is getting to bounce ideas and kind of picking up where the other one's like falling, things just always function when you have someone to bounce things off of. They always function a little better and go a little more smoothly. And because always see like when companies start to get larger, they always want to bring somebody else on because something can't really grow until you've got like all the bases covered, right? So like
Yeah.
not everyone can be 100% great at all the things. So you need those people to fill in the blanks. So it sounds like you guys have a really great partnership with that, and it looks like it's going really well for you, which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it's a good balance
Yes.
for sure. Because the
Yes.
things that I lack, she helps out in, and vice versa. That's
Yeah.
definitely makes things a little easier
It's
for
rare
me. I
too.
know.
Yeah, which is what you need in business and life and everything else in between is somebody to kind of fill in the blanks and be the balance. And you had mentioned this kind of came out of like a seasonal down for you. What kind of area are you in and like where did this blossom out of?
So we're in Southern California, Long Beach area. Long Beach is kind of like our home paddle place. We've gone other places, but we just keep going back. But I think that when it started, like sometimes, I mean, we have warmer winters, but I think it was just one winter was especially like rainy and cold, and we
It
just,
seemed like it took forever. We were
hmm.
just like, this is lasting way longer than it should in our head.
And there was even, I think we had a June gloom a couple of years ago that we couldn't take anymore. So we just went out to Utah and we're like, let's just go where it's warm. And we just Googled like warm places, I think. And we saw a YouTube video of somebody paddling the Colorado River. So we went and did that for 3 days. That was
That
amazing.
helped because it was
Oh,
beautiful.
that sounds awesome. We have a really big part of the girl paddlers community is in Colorado. And I'm always like, I'm so in love with everything that everyone posts out there. It's just so stunning and so many cool different areas to paddle. And I'm over in West Tennessee, completely different environment. Colorado is just like it's almost like another universe over there. It's just,
Yeah.
a different environment that I'm so in awe of. And it's on my list to get over there eventually. So that's awesome that you guys got to do that.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting being on the Colorado River and seeing the bend that everybody like
Mm.
normally will post from above, like the bend around. It was really
Horseshoe
trippy.
Bend.
Horseshoe bend, thank you. Being at the bottom and seeing all these little tiny people all taking pictures. We're like, whoa, like realizing how far down we were. It was so
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah, it was just super serene.
Yeah, I think that's actually something that's really cool about being in the US is that it really is like being in different countries, depending on what part of the country that you're in, it's just a completely different environment. It's like even in California itself, like Northern California, it doesn't look anything like Southern California. I lived in San Diego for a few years and then I would go up to like LA and stuff and visit friends that were like on the north side of LA and they've got like the huge mountains and things like that. And like down in San Diego, it's all like flat and beaches and then you had the sand dunes and it's just I think it's really impressive just how many variations of environments that you can get within just a few hours of where someone might live.
Very lucky, and we do get bored and we're like, let's go over here, let's go over to this environment, let's go to this environment. And I feel like we are truly blessed to just be able to decide on what
Yeah, I
kind of,
mean, California has such a long coast too. It's just like sometimes if people don't realize they think of California in a whole, like everybody's very much the same or the areas are the same. It's so huge. It's like if you go up north, it's so completely different when you're up in like the Redwoods area to like down, like you said, in like San Diego, and it's pretty cool. We can be on the coast and kind of hit that mark pretty easily to go to such different areas and experience different things. It's a pretty cool blessing, especially when it comes to like going different places to
Hmm.
paddleboard. It's definitely a different scenic view, and even with all of it being ocean, which that's pretty rad.
That's what I loved about California. Even, I was in a completely different part than you guys were, but like just the versatility of being able to drive like an hour here, an hour there, an hour south or north, like you just have there's so much versatility out there. So I love that you guys are fully taking advantage of being where you're at and you've started this journey. And I guess that really leads us into today's topic. So today's topic is going to be a little different than what we usually talk about. We're going to be talking about our bodies today, which can be really uncomfortable for a lot of women to talk about. But the goal for today is to make sure that it's not an uncomfortable conversation. And we're going to lead you into being confident on the water. So, I would love to talk about how your paddling journeys got started. We've kind of touched on that a little bit, but I would love to deep dive into your individual experiences. So, Jessica, let's start with you.
Yeah. So originally, I mean, I didn't really know about paddleboarding before she introduced me. I was kayaking, but I had gained a lot of weight in like the last 10-ish years. I have PCOS, so it's like a hormone imbalance. So I think I gained something like 60 or 70 pounds within like 5 years. And I was actually too heavy to rent kayaks. Like they were sinking. So my kind of inspiration and hope of being near the water in that way had diminished. And then she convinced me, and I trust her. So she was like, no, you could paddleboard, like, give it a try. And she had already bought some.
I was looking up specs. I was like, no, we're gonna do this.
Yeah. And she got inflatable paddle boards, which is so different than the hard boards. So I'm above the water. I was actually for some reason scared of the ocean at the time. I don't know why, but she had me try it and I was terrified of falling over in the water, not being able to get back on my board. I wasn't comfortable at that time, like being in bathing suits and stuff like that because I had gained so much weight and I loved myself, but I also didn't think that anyone out in the water would want to see that, especially in Southern California. Um, but being on the board, it felt so stable and so safe, and she cheered me on along the way and pushed me a little further each time. And I became more and more comfortable. And she helps me and pushes me to practice getting back on my board. She'll remind me like, hey, there's no one around. You want to practice getting back on? Or she'll try to help me with techniques on how to do it. And I hadn't lost weight. I've lost weight now, but at the time I hadn't lost weight. But paddleboarding, being in the sun, and I don't know, there was something magical about paddleboarding that I became more and more confident and started buying bathing suits and um, I don't know, it just made me so happy. I felt like my confidence was coming back.
Absolutely.
What else?
I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, I think when you have something that you're so passionate about, it just kind of bleeds into everything else in your life. When you're excited about something you're going to do, it it kind of brings like a lightheartedness to everything else too, where you're like, I'm excited for this, I'm gonna do this tomorrow or whatever, and you're kind of just got a little bit more pep in your step for the rest of the day before, even because you just have that to look forward to, and it's something you really want to do. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna do this thing, or.
And we kind of tripped out because we were winter girlies before we started paddleboarding.
Yes.
And now we hate winter. We complain all winter long until summer comes back. And it's weird. Like we both feel like paddleboarding changed our
It changed
personalities.
us so much. So much. Where I feel like I naturally, I think, have always been like somebody who's just runs warm temperature wise. So I like it when it's pretty much a cooler environment. But now I'm like, no, I want it to be sunshine and hot because I want to be at the beach. I want to be in the water. that was definitely kind of a trip, I think, for both of us. We both would reflect back going like, oh, we've changed so much, but in a good way. Like we love it. It's just such a trip to look back on because we're like, whoa, that's that's so different
I'm
from what we
so
used
different
to
than who I
say. Yeah,
was.
definitely.
Yeah, it sounds like a very fun journey to be on. And you brought up a couple of points that I definitely want to touch on. And one of them was that you were just like scared of the water, scared of falling over. That is a very common insecurity for a lot of people when they're getting into water sports. And I feel like I've been saying this so much lately in just like other videos, other podcast episodes. It's like I really want to encourage people to be bad at things. Like, it's okay to be bad at things. You do not have to be the best at something to enjoy it. You do not have to be an Olympic level person to get into water sports. And I think that's something that's really special about water sports too, is there are a lot of sports that you get into that are like you need specific physical qualities to be decent at those things. If you're going to be a gymnast, like you need to be a little more compact, to be able to throw yourself up into the air. If you're playing basketball, like height is going to make things easier for you. Those are things you can't really control and are very like physically specific things that you have to consider. Water sports, it's not like that. It can be for everyone. It can be for every body type. It can be for whatever type of vessel you're enjoying. But there's that barrier that it seems like always comes up in the community. It's like, I'm so scared to start because what if I fall in? What if I can't get back on my board? What if I can't get back on the boat? So I'm glad you brought that up because now you're thriving. You're living this life. You're paddleboarding all the time. Like you said, it's completely changed your perspective about even what you're enjoying about life and the time of year that you're enjoying.
Yeah, and we started a TikTok, and I've been working on it as much lately, but my goal was to show women how easy it was, that it looks and sounds intimidating, but it's completely manageable. So I filmed myself, or she filmed me, trying to get back on the board and struggling to show people like, you're not the only one. I struggled, you might struggle, but you just keep trying. So that's something we're working on, is making videos to show women that it's possible no matter your size or capability, and kind of give some, tips and tricks that we learned along our journey to help them figure it out too.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was like the fact that I knew that the board floats. Yeah, knowing that I have this giant board, that it floats, that I can attach, I have my leash that I can attach to it, that I'm like, knowing that this giant board that's inflated is like right there, I think helped me a lot. Knowing like if if I can't get back on this board, I can swim with this board. Like, I mean, even when you're a kid and you learn how to swim, you've got like a little kickboard, little foam floating thing to kick with. I'm like, that's manageable. Like, I can kick my way back to a shore unless, and know your limits to when you're first figuring it out to not go too far out while you're still getting used to, training wheels, I guess, so to speak. But, I think that part of it really helped me. That I'm like, this thing is like buoyant. It's not in the water. It's above the water. It's floating. I think that really helped me get over the idea that I'm like out in out in this whole area. Different than like a surfboard or something. You can get up on it and be not completely submerged.
I'm picturing two paddle boards on your arms as little floaties, like a little kid right now.
But I mean, I think it really helped me though, like the idea of, I mean, sometimes people get weirded out with the idea of being in water and they can't see. And I think being able to like be completely out of the water could help with that in a lot of ways. Because if your mind starts racing too much with anxiety or whatever, you can kind of like be like, well, I'm out of the water. I'm not completely in the water. Like I've got my flotation device. I'm good.
Yeah, that's another point too, is like not only is your vessel floating, but hopefully you've got your PFD on, your life vest or whatever it is you're wearing, and that's going to keep you floating too. That's the whole purpose of it. And also, you know, at the end of the day, getting wet is not that big a deal. I mean, that's the worst thing that happens. If you fall off your board, you get wet. That's it.
Hmm.
So, it's not once you kind of like are able to absorb that, it's really, like you said, not as scary as it seems from the outside.
One of my fears was I didn't know how deep the water was. I
Mm,
didn't know what kind of creatures were in the ocean where we were at.
fair enough.
And I think the fear of the unknown is kind of what was freaking me out. So I bought a magnet fisher thing, and I was going around our marina measuring how deep the water was.
Oh, okay.
And then once I could see that it was actually really shallow, I felt a lot safer. And then I started researching what creatures were there and what dangers were there. And then I realized I was freaking out over nothing. So I think if you just research what's around you and know your environment, I think you'll feel a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, education definitely can knock down a lot of fears for people because it is the unknown is the scariest part. You're right. You know, you don't know what's under there, you don't know how deep it is. But also, just the more time you spend out there, that just comes with experience too. The more time that you're spending out there, the less scary it is every single time you go out. You know, you get to be more familiar with the environment, your local waters, you know what to expect every time you go out. So, a lot of that just comes with time and experience. But like you said, there's plenty of things that you can look up ahead of time that will make you feel a little more comfortable about going out your
Hmm.
first time, maybe. So that's a really good tip. And another point that you had brought up when you were talking about how you got into this was just the like insecurity of being in a bathing suit on the water and the perception of that like other people are even bothering to look at you when in reality they're just doing their own thing too. So, can you touch on that a little bit more?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm 5'2", and at the time I was like 270 pounds almost when we started. I don't know, I was really worried, but everybody out, I mean, at least in our area and everyone in the paddleboarding community, to be honest, has always been so helpful and positive, and people would stop and talk to me and give me tips. Now we do that. Now we give people tips when we're going out. But yeah, I was just really uncomfortable at first. But yeah, nobody cared what I looked like.
I think everybody that's on the water too is like kind of surprisingly. I think we thought more about it like than the reality was. Everybody's in a good mood on the water. Like you see people in their boats, hanging out with their family. They're all excited to be out there and in a good mood. They're trying to do the same thing we are. They're trying to, relax, get back with nature, and you know, they're not in a bad mood there. It's not like they're going to the post office, you know.
I've
Yeah.
never had one bad look, one weird look, like no comments, nothing. Everybody's just been amazing.
Yeah, that's something I really love about this community. And like you said, like it's not like unless you're going specifically for sports, like there's no like competitive aspect to it. Everybody's just there to have a good time. Like everybody's just trying to like enjoy the water. So who cares what anybody's wearing or, and most of the time it's kind of like the high school theory, right? It's like you get a pimple and you walk around all day long thinking that every single person you walk by has stared at your pimple. Meanwhile, they're just worried about their own pimples. Like they didn't even notice yours because they're just worried about their own and nobody's actually looking at anyone because everybody's just thinking about themselves anyway. But in
Exactly.
environments like that, it's like, there's nothing to create friction. Everybody just wants to enjoy the sunshine and the water. But, everyone has their own things that they're thinking about for themselves and considering for themselves. And, that takes time too. Do you have any, like, now that you've kind of gotten to the point where you're comfortable, you talked about like started buying bathing suits and things. Do you have certain brands that you kind of lean towards that, make you feel a little more confident and that you really love?
I don't honestly. I will be honest, I started buying bathing suits, and for a couple of years that was fine. I do wear these really short board shorts now, just because I tend to get off my board and slide around on a lot of things. I like to get off my board where people aren't because there's more creatures. So I'm like sliding on rocks and all kinds of stuff. So the shorts help protect my butt. And I kind of wind up starting to wear sports bras just because I felt like they were more supportive than bathing suits. Um, but just knowing that I felt comfortable starting to wear bathing suits for a while made me very happy. But then I
We
did go
started
back.
looking into making your own bathing suits too.
Yeah.
That's still a journey to come.
Yeah. We have a lot of things on the,
To-do list.
yeah.
I mean, it's all just personal comfort, right? So it's
Yes.
just like it's just testing and trying things out. And, maybe that doesn't work or this doesn't work, but this is like the perfect fit for yourself. So there wasn't any right answer. I was just
Yeah.
curious, like what you've been testing out for yourself. Because I'm a board shirt person too. I'm a kayaker, and there is nothing worse than being in bikini bottoms and trying to peel your legs off of that seat after being in a
Mm.
kayak for 2
Oh, I
hours.
bet, yeah.
So shorts are definitely the way to go in some instances. And you guys are out like on the West Coast, so the sun's a little different out there, and rash guards and stuff are a little more popular out there too.
Yeah, I think I switch it up quite a lot. Sometimes it honestly depends on how gung ho I think we're ready to like paddle. If we're
Mm,
paddling out way closer towards the ocean, there's going to be a lot of wind. I'm definitely more in like comfort mode, like in like sporty mode, I guess. And then other times when we're like, I don't really want to do anything hardcore today. Let's just kind of have a chill paddle. Or like, this has been a long week. Let's do something just a little like mosey around, just get some sunshine. Then I might wear something more revealing. I'm gonna get some sun and like, try to
yeah.
make that my priority.
I guess, yeah, yeah. I mean, you do have to consider that as well. It's like, what kind of day are you going to have on the water? So, and how long you want to be out there too. Because I have definitely made the mistake more than once of thinking that I was just going to go out for a quick paddle and being out there for hours. And I definitely should have brought a rash guard, and I come back in pretty toasty. So,
Hmm.
um, so Amanda, you had said you've been doing this for a little bit longer, and you kind of got Jessica into this. How did your paddling journey start?
Well, it's kind of funny. I went up camping to a place in Kings Canyon, Northern California. And the place that I went to had like all inclusive, it was like normally a camp, I think, during the summer months. And I had taken my kids there like right before the regular camp started for just like a weekend to go up to Kings Canyon. And they had like their own little lake with a lot of left included to just try out with like canoes, those little like pedal boats.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they had was paddleboards. And I had all the like life jackets and everything set up for everybody. You could just grab whatever you wanted to take out and paddle around this whole lake that they had on the property that had a little island in the middle. And I just kind of was like, I've never done this before. I'm going to try it out. And that was the first time I had ever paddleboarded. There was nobody there. It was just kind of like, oh, this thing looks cool. I'm going to try this out. And I did that with a couple of things that were there. And I was really surprised. I thought it was going to be a lot harder. When I tried it out, I was like, oh, this isn't nearly as hard as I thought it would be. I was like expecting myself to fall down really easily. Um, and then realizing I could sit too if I wasn't comfortable standing, and getting used to it or being on my knees. It's very flexible. You can do it a lot of different ways. You can stand, you can sit, you can kneel, you could even sit on the side of it and kind of just look around in the water and kind of, paddle in a circle a little bit. I got to adventure out with it, and there was a bunch of like lily pads at the time, so I could go see all these like lily pads and frogs. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, I didn't even really, and I think the first day we were even there, we didn't realize that was included. And then somebody that was working there was like, yeah, you guys are welcome to use all of this stuff. And my kids were like gung ho. They were like, oh, this is so cool. They had little like fishing nets to try to little catch fish or tadpoles and stuff. Afterwards, it kind of just stuck with me where I was like, kind of like it was in the back of my head where I was like, wow, that was really cool. That was a really fun trip. It actually took me a while till I decided to buy a paddleboard, but it kind of just stuck with me. And in my head, I kept going, oh, we should go back to that place because that was so fun. And then I kept realizing, well, why was that super fun? And I was like, well, honestly, the stuff we were doing there was super fun, but we could do that here. I don't have to go back to that place. So I started researching paddleboards and realizing I kind of also had this misconception in my head that it was going to be way more money than it was. And I was like, this is doable. It was like, and it was something to get my kids out of the house, me out of the house. I mean, I
We
Um,
started during COVID too, so we were like, we need to go outside.
yeah, when being really stuck in the house, where we're like, okay, we're gonna be off, out, oh, not around people, because I think that's another thing that's really cool. Is like if you go to the beach here, especially in Southern California, there's a lot of people, you know what I mean, like on the beach. So the fact that we can like launch off and be away from everybody else and not surrounded by so many people or loud children, or just in general, like loud people in general, you kind of can paddle away from everybody else that might be doing some playing loud music you don't like or whatever it is. And that was a really cool, different new experience for us that made the beach completely a different environment for us.
Completely.
Completely different. Yeah. And I had struggled with, I got diagnosed with lupus, and I had diagnosed with cancer like in the same year right before that. And I used to work at a gym for a really long time. I was really into my fitness, and I kind of wasn't finding anything that kind of was in my bracket to enjoy fitness wise that I felt like I could still do.
They didn't overdo
That
it.
didn't overdo it, that or just I think also because it was something so different and new, I didn't have the same standards that I had to, like if I went into the gym, I would think back on the old version of me before I was sick and have a standard. And because I didn't have that standard afterwards going in to this, because I hadn't really done it when I wasn't sick very much, that I didn't I didn't have this constant thing of trying to relate it to the person I used to be before I was sick. And I think that really helped me a lot with being like, well, I don't know how I would have done this when I was a healthier person before. So I can't be hard on myself. Being in the gym and doing the same workouts, I could be hard on myself, going, oh, well, I'm not. This was like kind of like my warm up before, like, and I would sit there and kind of have this turmoil. And starting it afterwards, I think really helped me be like full fledged, being like, I'm doing great, because I would just only have the base of, you know, barely starting and kind of getting my feet wet. And then I would just progress. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing good. I'm doing better. I could go a lot longer than I could last time. And I think that really helped me because I didn't really have that same outlet that I had had for so long. And that was a new way of me being able to have not only just fitness. I was suffering with so much like anxiety and depression, with kind of feeling like I was losing myself through my illness, is both illnesses. And when I got to realize I just had to change the way I was doing it, I could find something, the same type of thing, like an outlet that would make me happy, that would give me that feel of like an energy burn or, something to look forward to. I just couldn't do the same thing I was doing before, or it just looked different. And I think it really did, it really did save me in a lot of ways to find something similar that I could put my energy in, because it was just this kind of like just a hole. I was like, I'm like, well, what do I do now? You know, and I'm like, well, I used to do this thing. I used to go to the gym. I used to work out. I used to lift weights. And then I was like, well, what does that look like now? I have to pay such close attention to my body and how, if I overdo it, because some days I'll feel really good and then I'll overdo it and then flare up. And then the next day I'm paying for it. And kind of finding that balance was a lot easier with something like this that also depended on the weather, because if the weather wasn't right, I could be like, okay, Mandy, you need to rest today, like the universe is saying, today's not the day. So I think that was pretty cool in a lot
Yeah.
of ways for me, and it really helped me in so many ways, especially mentally.
I really love that about paddling in general. It's just the type of activity that leaves a lot of space for you to create your own experience with it. If you want to go super hardcore and you want to do races and you want to do whitewater and all of that, you can do that. If you want to just like float around and not even really paddle at all and just be on the water, you can do that. And I think that's something that's really special about this specific activity is you can really just make it your own. And it
Mm-hmm.
actually has, I've heard a lot of similar stories of it's been a really great transition for people who have developed kind of like physical limitations. And also just being on the water helps you connect to nature in a completely different way that I think can be very healing physically, mentally, all of it wrapped up into one. So
Yes.
Oh,
I'm glad you were
absolutely.
able to find that. And it sounds like it was a very kismet moment that you were able to do that because, you almost didn't even know that they had that offering at the camp. So,
Yeah, it was kind of one of those things that happened by chance, and it just stuck with me. Where I was like, kept thinking about it, and I was like, why is this sticking with me? Like, and then yeah, it was, man. Once we got boards, I was like over after that. I was like, oh, I love this. Even I thought my boys would, and my boys do love doing it, but I. It's funny because part of me is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get them out and get them, doing something outdoorsy, and that they would, and they'd like to do it with all their friends and stuff, which is awesome because I can take out all their guy friends and they all love going out and paddling. But I don't think I even realized how much I was going to fall in love with it. I was just wow, this is my happy place. Like regardless, and that changes
yeah.
too. It's funny because whether it's on a lake or a river or the ocean, it can change the scenery very easily. But I'm like, man, being doing this and paddling, like this is my happy place. Like, you know, it's so funny because like anybody in my family knows like I'm having a birthday coming up and they're like, well, what are you gonna you're gonna want to go paddleboarding somewhere, right? Like we want to go paddleboarding somewhere new. Like they know that this is like that's what she
Yeah.
wants to do.
It sounds like the perfect outlet that you found. It
Absolutely.
all sounds like it was meant to be for the both of you. And the fact that you're also able to bond over this and kind of create your own experience around it is just beautiful. And I love it. And, these have been two very different journeys, but also with very similar physical considerations as well. There's exhaustion that plays a big part and things that you really have to think about. So, if you don't mind me asking, what were some of the ways that you were able to overcome your insecurities of like having those kind of physical barriers?
I think, to be honest, I became so obsessed with paddleboarding that I got like tunnel vision, and it felt like the obsession and tunnel vision just blocked out
I was
a
gonna
lot of
say the
stuff.
same thing. I was like, I feel like the amount of love and like energy that we both loved for it kind of just outweighed everything else. Where we're like, this is so cool and so awesome. Like the idea of letting anything else damper that for us was like, no way. And I mean, at the beginning, when you're still kind of figuring it out, yeah, but towards the end, we're like, no, this is like, we love this. There's no way we're going to let anything come in between us and being able to have fun and do this. Like, right?
Once,
Would you say that would be
yeah,
kind of it?
I think a lot of it is she would take pictures of me and just show me how cool I looked. And I had this idea of what I looked like paddleboarding, and she would find cool ways to make it just like a really cool shot. I'm like, oh, I actually look kind of cool and I look like I'm having fun. And I think honestly a lot of it's just her. She's just like, nobody cares, you look beautiful. And then the obsession took over once those insecurities just started melting away, realizing that all my fears were for nothing and insecurities, and realizing how easy paddleboarding really is. And there's so many accessories out there now and
That
ways,
is true.
yeah, and ways to figure out how to like get back on the board or ways to go faster. I mean, there's motors now you can
There's
hook up.
It's very adaptable.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to, like, I saw a video not that long ago of somebody, and I mean it's silly, but there was somebody with leaf blowers that was like I that wanted to get across a lake, and the guy had two leaf blowers, one under each arm, and he's like steering with leaf blowers to get across the lake because he wanted to be lazy. But you know, I mean, more
Do what
power
you
to
got to
you.
do, I
You never
guess.
know. Like, I would have never thought of that. I was like, wait, what? But you know,
I just disclaimer, I don't think that's very safe. So maybe like don't try
no,
that
no,
at
no,
home.
no. Disclaimer, disclaimer. But I'm just saying, like,
They
there's
do have better tools out there.
they no, there's actual tools for it for sure. But I was just like, you know, the ingenuity of it. You had to be like a little bit admirable. You're like, oh wow, like okay, but more power to you. You know,
I think with kayaking
anything
and
is possible.
paddleboarding, like the possibilities are endless.
Oh
Oh, definitely. And I mean, we're finding out more and more every day that that's 100% true. I mean, we're always in the community. People are always, talking about new tools that they found. And I'm like, I had no idea that existed. That's super cool. Let's tell more people about it. So, yeah, I mean, definitely whatever your needs are. We actually just had a really great episode that we'll be releasing right before this, where our guest talks about accessibility a lot. And that's a lot of what she focuses on is accessibility and paddling. And there really are like, if this is something you want to do, if it's something you want to try out, there's so many tools and resources out there for people nowadays that I think is really awesome and even growing. There's ADA accessible launch pads now that are showing up in a lot of our parks. And I love seeing more of that show up because it really is. It's something I'm a little biased, but I think everybody should experience once or twice. So
Yes.
I love to see all of these new tools popping up. So
One thing I do want to mention is that while I eventually learned how to stand up on the paddleboard, um, I still choose to sit. And I think that that's something a lot of people have an insecurity about, like, oh, well, I can't stand up, so
mm,
people are going to judge me or whatever. We sit almost
we said a lot of times.
everywhere we go. So I think that if you can't stand, you should just sit and enjoy it or kneel. You should always try to push yourself. But I don't think sitting is necessarily a negative in paddleboarding.
no, that's a really great point. Thank you so much for saying that because, it just goes back to what we've really been talking about the whole time is like, just take it how you want to take it. Like you can do it however you want to do it. There's no like hard rules. Like
Yeah.
if it's fun more comfortable for you to do it that way, if it's more fun for you to do it that way, just do it. Nobody cares. There's no rules.
Yeah,
So,
there's times where if I'm feeling more tired or my body's more, I literally have a chair, like a like beach chair that makes it look kind of like a kayak a little bit, but I put it on top of my paddleboard, strap it in, and I'm sitting, and I'm like, okay, my leg is hurt today. I'm not gonna sit on it. I'm rather, have it more comfortable and, like I said, making it adaptable, which
yeah.
definitely makes a big difference.
Well, and almost all paddleboarding companies now have the accessories that you can actually buy a chair for your paddleboard that's
For
created
sure.
specifically for paddleboards. So it's not like an uncommon thing that like, oh, it's weird that you're sitting on your paddleboard. Like these companies are
Yeah.
are even creating these accessories for you. So if that's how you want to do it that
Yeah.
way.
Hmm.
We've talked about a lot of moments where you're kind of just like in your own head and things like that. What are some of the things that you've said to yourself, like just to kind of get over those moments that might be a little more frustrating? Like maybe if you are trying to stand up for the first time or you are getting a little nervous about the water, do you have little things that you say to yourself to kind of convince yourself to just like keep going?
I'm someone who just repeats, you can do it, you can do it repeatedly until I'm actually doing the thing I'm trying to do. So, like with when I was trying to learn to be stable and stand up, I was just like, you could do it, you could do it, you could do it. And then once I stand up, I start going, you did it, you did it, you did it.
Go, 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 go.
Yeah.
I think also we have each other to cheer each other on too, which we're very lucky for that. I
Mhm.
mean, although sometimes I'm like, don't look at me. I'll be like, I'll watch me because I'll think I'm gonna fall. But at the same time, it's like knowing that if you do get hurt too, you do have somebody around. You're not doing it in an area by yourself so much that if you were to injure yourself, nobody would see. Just being smart with certain things. I think that makes a big difference.
I will say too, I think she gets more excited when I conquer something than I do.
That's true.
Like getting on the board, standing up,
Yeah.
all those sorts of things, conquering a fear, like jumping in the water. You get way more excited than
I
I
think I do.
do.
Yeah, I definitely do.
That is the really great part about going out with like a good community of people, whether it's just like one friend or you're going out on like a meetup or something like that.
Yeah.
You can borrow other people's courage for a moment to do what you need to do. You know, having that cheering happening in the background is extremely helpful for a lot of people. And especially like if you're in a safe space where people, where you know, the people are not judging you. They're not making fun of you to themselves. They genuinely just want you to enjoy it. So, you know, having that friend along that's cheering you on, it's a big help. So
Oh,
definitely
we
if you're wanting to get into this, look for a community, look for a meetup, go on a tour, you know, whatever you need
absolutely.
to do.
And we've cheered on strangers. Like we'll
Yeah.
see somebody like that's rented a paddleboard or something, and they're learning how to like stand up, and we'll be like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, you did it!" You know, because it's cool to see somebody like kind of get excited about the thing that we're already excited about. So of course we want to be like, "Yeah, like you did it!" You know, because we remember when we first started, and we're "Oh, like that's where we were at," you know?
That's what I was just thinking. I was thinking too, there was that girl that wanted to give up, and we're like, no, keep trying, don't give up. And she did, and then she wound up being able to stand up on her board.
Yeah, that was
So
cute.
That's awesome. And you never know how just those small little things like that can impact somebody's like permanent experience of it. Like, you know, first impressions really are a big deal. So if somebody comes away from trying something for the first time very discouraged, they're probably, well, they're much less likely to try it again. But
yeah,
even just having those people in the background, like pushing you to like just keep going, like just finish it. Cause once you finish it, you're going to be glad that you did. That's like a lasting impact that you may not even realize that you've made on those people. So we love a
I
girl's girl.
I definitely feel like I get so much love and support from her that I feel like it's like overflowing. And I notice we give a lot of girls out on the water like love and support. I think
Yeah.
because our cup's just overflowing with it.
Well, I mean, you want some, like, it's cool to see other women that enjoy and love something as much as we do, you know? Like, because it's one of those things where I feel like it's not even, I know so many people that don't even know about paddleboarding. Like, like, somebody I, like, run into is like, oh, what are you up to these days? What's your passion? You know? What makes you happy or what are you excited about? I'm like, paddleboarding, that's like my thing, you know? And some people are like, oh, I've never done that before. I've never even heard of that. Or I'm like, wait, what? Like, so seeing other people like learn about something that I'm like, why is this not more well known? Why are we not
Hmm.
at the same level as some others, you know, sports or so it's cool to see and encourage people because, you know, when you get something that you're passionate about, you want to see other people discover that same passion because you're like, I know what this could turn into, and you're going to be so happy later.
Yeah, no, that's like a lot of reason why we started the podcast. Just exactly that point is we just want people to know about it. We want to encourage people to get on the water and explore all the different ways that you can enjoy the water. And that's why I love having conversations like this. And you guys are being so candid about your real experience. You know, it's really easy to get on TikTok or Instagram or wherever and just see all of these people who have been doing it for years and they have all these like really scenic, like aesthetic videos, and you're like, I could never do that. You know, you have these yogis that are like standing on their hands on their paddle boards and like doing flips, and you're like, that can't be me. So I'm not even going to try. But I love these candid conversations. And thank you so much for being so open about what it was like at the beginning. And now you're able to enjoy it however you want to enjoy it. I hope it encourages more people to try it out if they haven't, if they've had it on
For
their
sure.
mind.
How long have
Yeah.
you been in love with kayaking? Can I ask?
Oh, yeah. I kinda had, like, an off and on experience because I, like, tried it out once when I was a kid at, like, summer camp, and because I'm in a very, like, water area, but it's mostly, like, boating and fishing and stuff like that. It's just not, like, a really huge, like, paddling area. I got to try it out as a kid, like, once, and then I didn't get to go again until, like, way later in high school, and I got to go on a couple of canoeing trips, and that was really fun, but I really got into it when I moved to Charleston, South Carolina in like my early 20s and like everyone out there paddles because there's so many different like channels and it's right on the East Coast. So the ocean's right there, flows into the inland, and there are just like all these little like lakes and creeks and rivers that flow all through what they call low country. So yeah, I just started out there and that was like when I got around people who were enjoying it and I realized like what it was supposed to actually be like, I was like sold the first time I went out. So really in my like early 20s is when I started getting to kayak a lot.
Yeah.
So have you
Yeah.
been out in our area like at all? You said you were in San Diego for a while. Were you kayaking then when you were in San Diego?
I unfortunately was not because I was also there during COVID. So
Oh,
I moved there literally March of 2020.
Oh, wow.
I had like 2 weeks of real life in San Diego before the whole country shut down. Because so we were there during like like hard lockdowns, when like the
yeah.
whole country was like, we're taking this very seriously. Nobody leave their houses. Like, don't go to the grocery store unless you absolutely have to. So that was like my first few months existing in San Diego. So it wasn't like a true experience. And even then, like in San Diego, they were like, you can go to the beach, but you can't sit on the beach. You have to like
Yeah.
keep moving and you can't be in more like groups of more than 3 people. And like you can't, so we couldn't even like really enjoy the beach
Yeah.
while we were there. So like trying to trying to like go kayaking and paddleboarding and things like that, like those companies weren't even open, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
no, but I would love to go back and do it because it's a beautiful area. I loved it
You're gonna have to
so
hit
much
us
while I
up
was
for
I
there.
was
sure.
gonna say we
Yeah.
don't have kayaks, but we have a lot of extra paddle boards if you want to come visit, okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
There's a
Oh,
lot of
I
places to rent them close by too, though.
Awesome. Yeah, no, if I'm ever out that way, I will definitely let you know. We've been trying really hard to get a trip put together for the West Coast. So,
That would be
if we
awesome for
do,
sure.
y'all will be my first call for sure.
For sure. Awesome. That'd
For
be
sure.
great.
Yeah, and actually, we've talked a lot about the difficulties and the struggles and all of the frustrating moments of kind of dealing with just physical barriers and insecurities of all of this. But now that we're on the other side of it, what are some of the best experiences that you guys have had on your paddle boards?
Our
Oh
new thing has
man.
been night paddle boarding with diving flashlights. We
We
like
just saw an octopus. I was so excited. I like
I
squealed
love
like a little
them.
kid. Yeah, I think finding creatures at night has been a really cool thing that we've been into lately.
we're obsessed with stingrays. We just think they're the cutest sea pancakes ever. We love them.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I don't know, like I would say yeah, that I think lately our thing is getting cuz it's been really brutally hot lately this last kind of week. But so at nighttime, like when we will go at night right now, it's still like 72 degrees and dark, So we're like, it's kind of cool because like I was just telling my son, I was like, it's kind of like I had just taken my son out and I was like, this is kind of like a whole new adventure at night because you're seeing all these fish come up to your flashlight and it's just a very different environment. Even the beach, everything's so quiet and serene, seeing the sunset and like it's just very different. So I think that's been our newest thing that we've been really into
You
lately.
said coming up to the flashlight, but those fish were punching our
That's true.
flashlights.
We had a couple fish like flying at our board.
They're just,
I'm like,
bam.
okay, I get why I'm like, man, those angler fish that have a little light, I was like, they must eat good because these fish are like so intrigued by our flashlights. We're like having flashlight in the water and they're like freaking out at it. I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm like,
We
Yeah,
are
you
also,
won't catch me in the water at night. I'll go look, but
no.
I'm not gonna
yeah,
be in it
we're
because there's
on the
so many
board.
things. Yeah.
The only thing is, I recently, when we went, I had to jump in because we dropped, well, I didn't, somebody else dropped one of our underwater flashlights, which thankfully it was lit up so I could see where it sank to the bottom.
Sometimes, because there was really thick
Seaweed.
seaweed,
Yeah, but I
Uh,
managed. I got it out. I was like, well, if we can't get it out, I was like,
but then I dropped it
I was
again.
like, I'm pretty sure I could do it though. For one second, I thought the light had cut out. I was like, oh my gosh, the light's cut out. I'm not gonna be able to find it. Like, we're gonna have to come back during the day and find it. And thankfully, it was just covered with so much seaweed that when I like stirred up the seaweed, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like, okay, cool, we're good. I could get it. I could get it. So, but for the most part, I'm not swimming when it's dark in the ocean. Nah. But it was a very quick, I'm going to hop off, I'm going to dive down, get the flashlight, and come back on my board twice.
Twice.
Thanks to her, because I go, here, hold this, hold it for me so I can hop back on my board. She's like, okay. A couple seconds later, I get back on my board and she goes, "Oh, I dropped it." And I go, "No, you dropped it again." And she was like, "Oh,
Oops.
whoops." It was pretty funny
Oh
though.
man.
It makes for good stories though.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it is such an incredible experience because there really are. It's like a whole different world at night because it's an entirely different type of environment. There's things that are more active at night. You know, you have all your nocturnal creatures that are coming out and living their life at that time of day. So I'm sure it is really cool to get to experience that and, get to see things that you're definitely not going to see any other time of day.
It's
Yeah.
cool because it's like something completely different.
Being in nature, there's just unlimited amount of things that you can discover anyway. So I think that's really cool that you guys are going and doing that. And I'm a big fan of octopus as well. I used to snorkel every weekend, and that was like our big score. If me and my friends were like, going out snorkeling, we're like, "Are we going to get to see an octopus today?" Because they're so lively. I don't think
They
people
are.
realize.
I will say I've been looking for an octopus for 5 years.
Have you?
So
We finally, and it's
Wow.
crazy because there was like multiple, what, in the last couple of weeks, we was like, what? Like, we'd always been looking, and there'd be like moments where we'd see something like, was that one? And it would like hide and like, well, I think that might have been one, but it wasn't like a guarantee. And the last, what was it? Not this past time, but the two times before that, we it was like definite. We were like, no
out in
way.
the middle by
I was
itself.
like so excited. I would not stop talking. My whole family's probably annoyed with me because I would not stop talking about it. I'm like, oh my God, we saw an octopus. It was so cool.
We are little weirdos though that hop off our boards and snorkel in the most random, unlikely places because we'll see one creature or something that catches our eye and we're out and
That's where
even
you
the
see all the
locals.
cool stuff, though.
Yeah,
Exactly.
where you, I mean, there's not a lot of traffic from a bunch of people or whatever. Like, definitely you end up seeing a lot of cool stuff that's very undisturbed.
I think octopus are like the ultimate scavenger hunt find, right? Like when you're going snorkeling because or paddling because they're camouflage. They're so hard to find because they will change colors and you think you've spotted one and then it disappears. And they also can fit into any crevice. Like absolutely this teeny
Yeah.
tiniest little spot. If there's an opening in some coral, there's a little tiny rock that's stacked up together, you're never seeing that guy again. So
Yeah.
it's such a win whenever you can find one. I love it. I'm glad that you guys have finally got to mark that off your list.
New goal is seahorse. I want to see a seahorse.
Oh, they're so cute, and I don't think people know how tiny they actually are. I hope you get to find those because they're
Thank
so
you.
stinking adorable. So I will keep my fingers crossed for you on that. I don't really know much about that specific area. Like, is there a big chance for you to find that?
They are more off the coast and not in the marinas. They're there. They're not as common. And so I think once I like a goal. So once I conquered this goal of standing and this goal, we just recently started paddling in the ocean. So once I like in the
Well,
with the
out of the
waves.
marina. Yeah.
Mhm.
So once I conquered that, I'm like, okay, I want to find an octopus. So then I found that. So I'm like, okay, now I want to find a seahorse.
Yeah, and we're planning a trip actually to San Diego pretty soon. So, because we want to paddle out in San Diego and do some snorkeling. So,
Oh, nice. Well,
that's on the agenda.
depending. I mean, if you guys are going later this year, you'll be landed at a good time for the seals.
I think
So,
we almost always have seals over there right now.
Yeah,
really.
we usually see a lot. They're there.
Yeah, even in our
Okay,
marina,
gotcha.
we
Yeah.
we've seen dolphins a few times. She was in the water swimming, chasing the
I wasn't
dolphins.
chasing
She was
them. I was getting a better
They
look.
have fun
I
with that
stayed
too,
far
though.
away.
Yeah, dolphins love to race, so that's fine. As
yeah.
long as you're not running them over,
No.
No, no.
they love to like cruise along your boards and stuff. I
Yeah,
love to see that.
they create a show for sure. That was pretty cool. A couple of times we've seen them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't think that people realize how cool California is and like how much wildlife diversity there is too. So whoever's listening, if you get a chance, do some paddling in California. Like really pick a spot. You're going to find some cool stuff. It's going to be different stuff, but you're going to find some cool stuff. And if you guys are in San Diego, definitely check out the aquarium that's up there. It's right at
Mm,
the very top of the hill overlooking the beach, and it's like focused on local marine life. So, and the mostly just conservation. So you
that's
get to
awesome.
see like learn a lot about like the really like local sea life.
I think one of the big marine biologist like schools is in San Diego, somewhere around there. I'm not really sure where, but
Yeah,
I
it's
know
like
that's
right
one.
down the street from the aquarium. So it's like all right there, like the research center and all of that is like all right there together. So it's a really cool experience. And if you're really wanting to get to learn about like California wildlife and marine life, that's the place to go. It's really cool.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out.
Well, I have gotten us off on a tangent that that has taken us into left fields. So, as we're wrapping up here, what is the most important thing that you would like for women to take away from this conversation today?
Paddleboarding is a lot easier than you think it is, and there's a lot of videos and tips out there. And I think that anyone should just go out and try, even if you're renting a board, because you're going to realize how peaceful it is and that you are capable of more than you think.
I think anything seems scary when you don't know, like it's an unknown. But I mean, I think most times our mind will make something seem bigger than it is. Like once you try it, you're like this. Like I mean, the first time I even got on one, I remember being like, "Oh, this is way easier than I thought it would be, and way easier to maneuver than I thought it would be." And in my head, I was like, "I don't know if I could pull this off." And then as soon as I was like, "What? Why was I so freaked out? Like it's not nearly as scary as it looks." You know what I mean?
Easier than learning to ride a bike, I would say.
Oh, absolutely easier than learning how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
Way easier, for sure.
Well, that alone should help people with their confidence level for sure. So, those are really, really great points. Thank you again so much for sharing all of your knowledge, sharing your personal experiences with us. And my favorite closing question, the show is called Paddle Her Way. And so we always like to ask what it's like to paddle your way. So, what is it like to paddle Jessica and Amanda's way?
With a backwards paddle. Is that what?
Paddling my way is honestly probably going too fast for everybody. Everybody gets I just
I think
leave
it just
everybody
it
behind.
depends on where we're at. I think we both will try to get momentum a lot of times, and we could go a little gung ho.
Okay, redo. Paddle my
I don't
way.
know. Yeah, that's a good question.
Just be at peace with yourself in the water and realize, I think too, one reason I realize I like paddleboarding in the ocean, especially, is realizing I'm just a tiny drop in this ginormous world. And being connected to the water makes me realize how tiny and insignificant all my problems are.
That's very true. Yeah, I think for me, I think I'm always trying to like be in tune with my body and how I'm feeling. And I know that some days I'm going to have limitations and some days I'm going to feel like those limitations are, expectations are way higher or lower. So I think for me, I'm like, I've got to know where my limit is each day. And I'm comfortable with that. I'm not worried that even if she's like, okay, I'm going to go adventure off, I'm like, cool, I'm going to be over here because I'm doing a little slower today. I'm hurting her. And I think that's what's so cool about it is she can go off and find more stuff that she, looking at seashells or something when I'm kind of just going a little bit slower pace. And
And
we
vice
still can have
versa.
fun together being on our own trip. She can go faster, I could go slower, or vice versa. It's very flexible in that way. And that's really cool because then I don't have to feel like I'm missing out because my body's not doing so good or, you know, I I can take it at my own pace where I'm comfortable. And I think that's really important for me because I don't feel like, I'm not like if you're riding a bike with somebody, it's a very different thing. Like you're like cycling together or something. You're like But on the water, we can go off and drift and do our own thing and kind of meet back up really easily. And I can see her way down the water. It's not like she's back behind a trail somewhere.
I will say a lot of times us paddleboarding is us being quiet for like 2 hours and paddling like 100 feet away from each other.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we're on our own little kick, but together, you know? I think that's really cool.
Sometimes you need that. Well, those are really great answers. That's a beautiful way to paddle. I love everything about this conversation today, and I hope that this has, we've kind of bounced all over the place about, how we experience it all, and but I hope this will encourage people to be more comfortable about having those conversations about their bodies, about their skill levels, about their insecurities, about wanting to get into something and trying something new for the first time. I think this has been very helpful, and I would love to hear everybody's feedback in the comments as well. If you have any questions, if you are wanting to talk to somebody, we have a massive community here, and I know that you're going to be able to find somebody to connect with and go paddle with and have these conversations with. So, Jessica, Amanda, this has been incredible. If anyone listening wants to have these conversations with you specifically, where can we find you and connect with you?
So we're mostly on TikTok, so the just at Offshore Paddle Co. We are on Instagram, same user, Offshore Paddle Co. And then on our website, we also have a lot of resources for any gaps that are missing anywhere else, on tips on how to paddle, how to overcome fear. There's also a contact button on there. And I encourage anyone who needs any advice, whether it be board related or technique related, or even just how to conquer fear, reach out.
Yeah, reach out and like we always get back to people for sure.
We want everyone to be as obsessed as we are. That's our goal.
For sure.
We're working on it. We're working on it. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. We'll have all of that information in the show notes for you. Again, thank you so much for carving out time to have this conversation with everyone today. And I will be seeing you over in the community for sure. And, if we make it out to the West Coast, definitely hit up Jessica and Amanda.
Thank you for
Thanks,
having
everyone.
us.
It's been really fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.